things are heating up on the big, beautiful bill. Oh, man. Before you pick a side, watch this episode all the way to the end because everything got complicated overnight. I'm going to simplify it for you and show you the two sides of the argument. Welcome to Doug in Exile. We're going to start with Rand Paul saying, I'm not in.
The bill increases the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. This will be the largest increase in the debt ceiling ever in our history. And we've never raised the debt ceiling without actually meeting that target. So you can say it doesn't directly add to the debt, but if you increase the ceiling $5 trillion, you'll meet that. And what it does is it puts it off the back burner, and then we won't discuss it for a year or two. So I think it's a terrible idea to do this. Also, we have to put this in context. In March, we voted to continue spending. During the campaign, Republicans said they were against Bidenomics and Biden inflation and Biden spending. In March, we renewed the Biden spending levels. So the spending levels we live under now are Biden GOP spending levels. They've all come into agreement. But come the end of September, when our fiscal year ends, the deficit's going to be $2.2 trillion. That's just not conservative. They're borrowing $5 trillion. That means they're anticipating the following year being over $2 trillion as well. So it's just not a conservative thing.
Okay, so if they agree to this budget, it's going to continue the Biden spending. I can't think of anyone who's going to be for that. Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mike Johnson say this bill has to pass. I'm not trying to flip sides. I'm trying to give both sides their opinion. Now, this is that Vought guy who is part of DOGE, who's going to give the other side in support of the big, beautiful bill.
I think that the storyline with regard to the spending reductions it's historic. This is the first time that we've seen anything like this in 30 years, not since in the 1997 balanced budget agreement. And what this bill includes is nearly $2 trillion by the time it gets updated for last-minute changes to get House conservatives across the finish line, nearly $2 trillion in mandatory savings reforms to improve Medicaid, to make sure there's a work requirement, to be able to get the labor force participation rate up, to get people who are illegal off the rolls, to do a lot of things in a lot of different areas of the main structural driver of our debt and deficits, which has been mandatory spending. And it also sets us up by doing some things on border security and defense increases to allow us to have an enormous fight on non-defense discretionary spending to make the DOGE cuts permanent, as reflected in our budget that we sent up to Congress not too long ago, to be able to lock those things in. So we think that this is a major step forward to get us on the road to balance. Why? Because it gets us out of fiscal futility where we have been unable to pass anything like this for decades.
I don't know who to believe. Those are the two sides. That's Russ Vought and Rand Paul. Two guys I respect a lot on both sides of this issue, one claiming massive debt and one claiming massive cuts. That's what's out in the public. Now, some of you guys asked about the Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she is seeing these DOGE cuts as great. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I'm thankful I will finally get to vote on several DOGE cuts that my DOGE subcommittee led to fight and defund. We held hearings on USAID and NPR and CPB and recommended defunding these programs completely. These DOGE recession cuts can't happen fast enough. Next up, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene on there was a massive blow up from Elon Musk last night. We're going to get into that. She's saying how she is sympathetic and supports Elon Musk, who's on the opposite side of this.
Congressman, what do you make of Elon Musk criticizing the one big beautiful bill?
Well, I have to agree with him on one hand. I always love it when Americans are angry at the federal government and express it. I think that should have been happening for years now. I mean, we're in $36 trillion in debt for a reason. What the Biden administration did for the past 4 years is they spent trillions and trillions of dollars invading our border, the green new energy scam, and basically wrecking the economy, driving inflation so high that young people can't afford to buy houses and are losing hope in the American dream. Unfortunately, in the one big, beautiful bill, we had to spend some money to right the ship and pass President Trump's campaign promises, which is border security. I'll write those checks all day long to Tom Homan. Also supporting America First Energy. I think that's important to spend money on. And then, of course, making the president's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent. That is absolutely worth supporting and spending money on, because if it expires, we raise taxes by 60% on all Americans. And so do I like the price tag of the bill? No. But I want to get off of the Biden and Democrat CR that this government is currently funding on And most importantly, I want to vote on DOGE cuts, and I want to do that every single week. And so I'm really thankful to Elon for starting that program.
She's going to vote on DOGE cuts every week. That's where the cuts are going to come from. When Rand Paul said about the Biden spending that got passed in February continues in that continued resolution ends as soon as this new bill passes. It's only a continued resolution until the new budget comes through. So I don't know what he's saying on rejecting the bill that is a correction on the Biden spending. If I'm shaking this out right. Again, if you guys know something else, let me know. Here's more on Marjorie Taylor Greene on that AI comment she made. There was a lot of pushback on this. Full transparency, I did not know about the section on page 278 and 279 of the OBB that protects AI for 10 years. Now, here's the actual document. If I have to read it, some of you asked for the actual document. This is a terrible idea. I'm with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this one. I'm going to show you the big tech guys that are going back against her after this. In general, except as provided in paragraph 2, no state or political subdivision thereof may enforce during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act any law or regulation of the state or a political subdivision thereof limiting, restricting, or otherwise regulating artificial intelligence models. And, I want to make sure that people can still take them to court from the states. Artificial intelligence systems or automated decision systems entered into interstate commerce. So they're making defense. They don't want 50 different states coming in, just like the judges went after Trump, 50 different states going over the president's head. They don't want 50 different states filing separate little lawsuits against AI. I'm telling you, the answer is not to give it basically a blanket pardon for 10 years. That's what this thing is. No, any law or regulation that the primary purpose and effect of which is to remove legal impediments to facilitate the deployment or operation of the artificial intelligence model. They're going to keep you from stopping the model. I don't trust the AI people enough on this. Okay, so this is David Sachs pushing back on Marjorie Taylor Greene. And David Sachs is part of DOGE and the big tech billionaires, but he's a Trump supporter who wants government to pass this thing that gives AI a blanket pardon for 10 years. While I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on most issues, especially Ukraine, in this case, I believe that a temporary moratorium on state AI regulation is the correct small government position. So he's going in the name of small government to have laissez-faire, hands off on this thing. The alternative is a patchwork of 50 different regulatory regimes driven by the AI doomerism that is which Obama is performing, is becoming a dominant strain on the American and European left, funded and astroturfed by left-wing Silicon Valley billionaires like Dustin Moskovitz. The constant fear-mongering is intended to scare us into adopting their agenda of regulatory capture, woke AI, and global AI governance. They already have regulatory initiatives underway in most blue states, as well as European capitals. If we don't stop them, they're going to launch these things at the state level. Some Republicans are also falling for the fake China hawk rhetoric, even though AI overregulation primarily benefits China. Federal moratorium on state regulation is justified under the Commerce Clause when inconsistent state laws would substantially burden interstate commerce. That is the case here. The America First position should be to support a moderate and innovation-friendly regulatory regime at the federal level, which help rather than hobble U.S. in winning the AI race. I'm only saying he calls this a moderate and innovation friendly. This is not moderate. You can shorten it to less than 10 years. Because I responded. This is the new Section 230 where AI is trying to protect itself from normal copyright law and want 10 years of us not able to push back on intellectual property rights. I have established myself in distinction from other artists as being very pro-AI. It's a powerful tool for art. But anytime the government extends blanket protection to prevent lawsuits, we should all be subject, especially given how badly Section 230 has developed in protecting Facebook, Google, Twitter. Okay, and this one, by the way, I posted. This is back on May 12th. So Marjorie Taylor Greene could have read that post and she would know about that AI carve-out in the big, beautiful bill. Here's the outcome of it. You'll see this little cartoon of GOP on tilted scales with Democrats being pushed down and crushing democracy. This is the 2020 election, with Google, Facebook, and Twitter putting their thumbs on the scales. Section 230 is a liability shielding gift from the US to big tech, the only companies in America that have it. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter that provide content and censor other content should be subject to the standard liabilities of our media. And this is just a warning because this is from 2020, guys. This is what the AI carve out in the big, beautiful bill is doing. So Dave Sachs, you got to address this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right to be afraid. Here's John Stossel on the damage of Section 230. This is from back, like 3 to 5 years ago.
Oh, good. You got this video. I'm glad, because it turns out that Facebook and so on don't show us all our friends' posts. They just show us some from some of our friends. Now, why might we be cut off? Well, sometimes I agree with conservatives, and social media companies are accused of being
bias against conservatives.
Against conservatives.
Bias against conservatives.
Are they? All the companies say our policies apply equally to everyone. For example, you may not promote violence. But in Portland, Oregon, Antifa threw things at journalist Andy Ngo because he criticized Antifa's violence. At one point, they beat him, kicking him and punching him in the head. The attack left Ngo with brain damage. But the attacker's account is still up, linking to their website that justifies the violence, saying, if you rally the far right to attack our city, the community will stop you, however it can.
Notice they did not take that down. They left that one up. Andy Ngo, the journalist, who I follow on Twitter for years now, all the way back well over 5 years, his account was taken down.
So what does that tell you?
That there's probably bias. Glenn Beck runs a big media operation called The Blaze, which has millions of followers.
Voices on the right being silenced.
Lately, he's been charging that social media companies push a leftist agenda.
They manipulate algorithms to reshape our world.
Beck has not been banned, but he says Facebook has reduced his reach.
You can post whatever you want. We have a little higher wall here for you.
Well, I'm not a conservative. I have noticed some weird stuff going on. My videos average more than 1 million views. But when I did that one, which included some criticism of Facebook, that video got less than half as many views. Because Facebook didn't show it to many people? I can't know. That's secret.
For those who seek to push hate,
today, social media companies are pressured to cut off anyone spreading hate.
You have no place on our platforms.
That's Tim Cook at Apple. How would you like to lose your ability to show up on a platform like Apple? All iPhones removed.
Now YouTube and Facebook say they even demote content that almost violates policies.
We do not allow hate groups on Facebook overall.
They're shaping you.
As an example of how they treat some groups differently, Beck points out that Twitter and Facebook leave up Antifa accounts that promote violence.
In Austin, they were actually calling for the next phase to have people be a paramilitary operation. That was up forever.
It's still up. It links to a manifesto calling for their opponents to be beaten bloody, annihilated. By contrast, Beck says conservative accounts are censored merely for making fun of Democrats.
The opportunity to do something historic.
Remember the person who slowed down Pelosi? And they were outed.
Facebook did say we dramatically reduced its distribution.
The person who is in charge happened to be one of the leaders in Nancy Pelosi's office, who had just left Nancy Pelosi's office to go to work.
And see, they all work for big tech. Democrats leave the regime and they go and work for every AI company right now. Maybe not Grok, maybe not Elon's X, but thousands of other AI companies. Democrats are going to work for them. They can't wait to launch lawsuits trying to control AI. The problem is, if they gain control of AI and I need to launch a lawsuit against them, I can't if the big, beautiful bill passes and they protect AI companies from any lawsuits. You see that? What's the bigger threat? What's more likely to be the bigger threat? We've already seen what Democrats did with the internet for the last 10 years. They're the bigger threat. Now, on which platform ends hate speech? Whoever defines hate wins the game. Well, a Republican, we define hate as, beating a political opponent in the face, like what Antifa did to Andy No. But what does the left call hate? This is what they call hate. Now, the guy at the top making that salute, that is not hate. That is putting his hand on his heart and sending it out to the people. But according to the left and all of social media and all of your Democrat friends that say Musk gave a Hitler Nazi salute because they believe they know his motive, that on the bottom is tagged as hate. The one on the top, Cory Booker making the salute, is not hate. Elon Musk making that salute is hate. Do you see the difference? Because I sure don't. The difference is they claim to know Musk's motives, even though he went and prayed at the Wailing Wall, wore a yarmulke and a Jewish symbol. He's totally sympathetic to the Jews. And Cory Booker does outright anti-Israel laws and pro-Hamas. So who exactly is going to be censored for hate? We already know. We know what Democrats do. That's why I'm saying I think David Sachs going against Marjorie Greene is totally naive at just how evil and indoctrinated and committed the left is. He's naive.
Well, did that play a role?
Zuckerberg met with 15 conservative leaders.
Facebook once invited Beck and others to discuss accusations that Facebook censors conservatives.
Sitting with Zuckerberg, who is either not really running his company, is naive, or a liar.
I'm going to go with liar. I don't like throwing that name around, but for me to insult his intelligence and say that he's naive or too dumb to notice, so he has to notice, and therefore he must be lying.
I sat with him and he said, why would we do that? Why would we do that? And okay, I agree with you. I want to believe you.
Why would they tick off half
Why would
the
they tick
country?
off half of the people?
I'll tell you why. Because liberalism is a religion. I just want you to think of your own religion. If I said, I will give you a lot of money, will you abandon your religion? True faithful people will not take that money. And it's the same thing with Silicon Valley. These guys are asking naive, they're also naive, by the way. Why would piss off half of his audience on Facebook, the conservative half? Because he has a higher religion than money. That's why I don't buy this libertarian argument of, oh, they're just all in it for the money. They're in it for the money. No, they're not. It's a satanic religion. They're committed to it. They're committed to it. Look at how 79% of Jews vote Democrat. And the Democrat Party, which is against Israel, 100% and hiding Hamas. So people, they have a higher religion. And it's leftism and Marxism and the Democrat Party. This is like a religious cult.
I want to believe him. However, your actions don't match.
Beck was also unhappy with some of his fellow conservatives.
There were some conservatives that were there who said, well, Mark, you can solve this by basically having affirmative action, making sure that for every liberal you hire. I don't want that.
Was there any talk about saying, look, we're just a platform. We shouldn't be doing any of this. We should just run everything that... Nobody even brought it up.
And it bothers me that there are so many conservatives that want more regulation. We don't need more regulation.
But it's human nature, whenever we see something we don't like, to say, government must do something. Even Beck fell prey to that. Remember when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez visited the border and claimed she saw immigrants
being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet?
Beck was so upset by that, he said she should be punished.
I would like to prosecute anyone who is making outrageous charges like this.
So you want prosecution of one of the 500 members of Congress who says nonsense? Half of them say nonsense.
I mean, John, first of all, I speak 5 hours off script.
Okay, I really like this defense, guys, because I do the same thing. I speak 5 hours off script online. I'm going to get some things wrong. But he's basically saying I got that wrong when I said that she should be prosecuted. You should not prosecute people for free speech. You should open it up to free speech is what we believe. I hope I can help convince you. And that is at the core of what Glenn Beck believes, is you shouldn't be trying to push the needle either way, including to help AI. Free market, open market, let AI thrive. You do not pass preemptive laws trying to protect them. That's how you invite corruption and then cannot stop it because you've protected all of the government corruption. When AI does something like remove me from using the AI app, the most powerful tool in the world, bunch of Democrats at an AI company, we already know, they'll go to every MAGA conservative and say you're part of a hate group because you like Elon, who did this salute, which is the same as Cory Booker. Every Democrat gets to make this salute and you stay, and every Republican that makes this salute, you're gone from AI. You cannot use the tool. You can't have a job. You can't work. And now we have protection, ha ha, because you guys thought David Sachs was smart, who's naive, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is a big, dumb blonde, big, dumb Southern redneck blonde. She's so dumb that she came after AI, and she's falling for doomerism and fear-mongering. No, do not put that in the bill, and I hope the bill fails. I'm standing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Guys, send this video to her. I'd love to have her on the show. I want to promote her. Hold your ground, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And David Sachs, love you, respect you. You are so wrong on this.
Every day.
So you're not eager to prosecute Cortez?
No.
I'm glad he walked that back. Truth comes out through argument, open debate. The more social media companies censor, the less we learn. On at least some platforms, all speech should be free. And I'm glad Beck agreed with that. You would have them publish everything. Stop all this censorship.
Yes.
Just let people say whatever.
Yep. We can handle it. Stop treating us like children.
Stop treating us like children. We can that needs to be a theme of our show. We can handle it. Stop treating us like children. But guys, that's why you have to allow the internet or AI to allow what you might consider a threat to Trump or hate speech or a really bad political point. We are pro free speech, and it's better to let some bad stuff through because we're adults than for the government to try to make everything fair. You do not want to live in that world. I'm going to wrap up here with Elon Musk really going after Congress now. Elon Musk's Twitter says interest payments already consume 25% of government revenue. That's where 25% of your taxes are going. If the massive deficit spending continues, there will only be money for interest payments and nothing else. No Social Security, no medical, Medicaid, no defense, nothing. It's important to remember Elon Musk, guys, on this stuff because he makes a great point. You're caught up on the current controversy with passing the big, beautiful bill and AI, and the controversy, it'll change its position in about 15 minutes. I'm Doug in Exile.